one way, he flicks the other. Well, Barry Lee, if you just caught sight of him in the mirror there, just sees Graham Miller spinning the Caversham car away across the grass. And that is going to cost Graham Miller very dear indeed. On lap 6, he spins out. It all started at Honda Curve, the final corner. And despite his best efforts, he couldn't quite make it through. And we've got a new second place man. Look at that. Paul Eaton goes through ahead of Mark Willis. It's all change here, isn't it? Absolutely frantic stuff for the V8 Eurocars. And this was Sonny Howard's dream when he set the series up, to get these big 5.8 litre V8 engines working away. You try and get 500 brake horsepower through that, and you're going to do what Chris Dawkins did in the 22 car. He absolutely hammers the power down, and the back end just is all the time wanting to slip away from you. Kevin Clark leads them through. He's opened up a fairly healthy advantage now, because Paul Eaton there in second place with Mark Willis. As we flick round, there is the second place man, beg your pardon, Paul Eaton, and Mark Willis is right behind him. Mike Jordan there in fifth, also trying to get some grip now. I have to tell you, we can see a dry line. Although many of the drivers have got their windscreen wipers on, it has eased off considerably. We had a real downpour just before the lights went green, and through they stream. And because that dry line is appearing, Stevie Hodgson in the white 7 car is making his way back through the field. Well, if it goes dry, that'll be a real treat for Hodgson. Oh, and Dawkins runs it wide. Hold on there, Chris. Chris, one of the youngest competitors, if not in fact the youngest competitor out there in a V8. He was all set this year to do a V6 campaign. He's the black car just tucked in there behind Mike Jordan. He was all set to do V6s, and then managed to pull a sponsorship deal together as Mark Willis really clobbers the curbing there at the apex. Pulled the deal together, and that allowed him to go up into the mighty V8s. He ran in Formula First. He was the Formula First championship contender in 1996, but battles all the way through the field. And there is Tony Gale in the Lexmark car, the white 12, and oh, Galey's got a problem again. He's all over the grass, exactly the same place where it ran wide, and I hope there's no one following on. No, there isn't. But dear, oh dear, Tony having problems, I suspect. Oh, and problems too for Paul Eaton. Oh, well, there's never a dull moment in V8s, is there? That's for sure. Paul Eaton got too close to Kevin Clark there. He was running in second. Well, he can't get the car started. I think that's the problem. Safety first, of course, is always the message. But Paul Eaton desperately trying to get his V8 fired up, and he's done it. So he will rejoin, but I can tell you he's going to rejoin right the way back down in 11th place now, out of a field of fully 13 cars that are still running. So Paul Eaton, that's cost him very dear indeed. Second place he was running behind Kevin Clark. There is Clark the leader, and that's closed everybody up. And it is starting to rain again, I can tell you. We're getting heavier and heavier rain. So this has closed the top 3 up, and this time Mark Willis is quicker off the turn. Clarky didn't quite get it, he's caught napping, and through goes Mark Willis. Look at him working away, the massive steering wheel he's got on board in that car. They go across the line to complete another lap in the order. Willis, Clark and Jordan. That's the completion of lap 9 of a 15-lapper. And there is Mike Jordan, poised to pounce. He's up to second, and Clark's got... Oh, Kevin Clark's got a problem. Well, dear, oh dear, oh dear. When will Kevin Clark's luck take a turn for the better? Because as you flames spitting out the right-hand exhaust there, the 2V-powered engine comes to a standstill. I can't believe for like one moment it's an engine problem. I suspect that it's something much simpler than that. We'll find out when he trots back to the pit lane, but that's the end of Kevin Clark's challenge. And a good points haul for Clarkey. Looks like it will come to naught. We've got a great scrap out front there, because there is the second place man now, Mike Jordan. Tucked in there behind Mark Willis. Willis in 65, great drift. Look at that, 4 wheels drifting through that very, very quick. The cars in dry testing were doing something like 165 miles an hour through woodlands, and here they come up towards us, and this time Jordan looks like he'll go through. No, he won't. His position is covered by Mark Willis. Willis pulls across. Oh, but he snakes under braking, turns it through, and he's going to run wide, and Jordan's got to go through. Well, no, well held, Mark Willis, and look at this. I've got to tell you, there is great news for Hodgson fans, because he's clawed his way back through the field, and there he is just in the back of the shot. He's up already into second place. Sorry, beg your pardon, third place for Stevie Hodgson. Getting carried away with myself, all those sevens. Mike Jordan clearly there in second place. Hodgson in third place. Well, when I tell you that Hodgson was running down as low as 9th place at the end of the second lap, he's managed to claw his way through the field. So too has the mighty Mike Jordan, the West Midlander, former Porsche and National Saloon Cup champion, a winner of the Will Hire 24-hour race. And look at that superb action here from Pembrey as Mark Willis drifts his car through into Honda Curve. That's the final corner here at Pembrey before they cross the line and complete another lap. And on the pit wall, Mark Willis's team and pit crew are going absolutely mad. This lower down the order is the battle for 8th and 9th place, and through up into 8th will go Paul Eaton. He does indeed go through. And Tony, what are you doing today? He's all going grass cutting, and my fear is that he's going to pick up a lot of that grass, and that will cause him to overheat and retire if he's not too careful. And Davey Philp is also going a little bit slow. Well, he's back in 10th place at the moment. But here are the leaders, and look at Mark Willis fighting like fury to retain that lead spot. Massive growl from that Roush engine. All the engines are very, very carefully controlled. There are a number of engine builders, but most of them have gone the way of 2B Power, as opposed to Mike Jordan there in second place. He's running with Power Engineering Prepare and look after his engine for him. And they've been working very hard to try and tweak a little bit more gas out of it, but Jordan can't get through. Again, great bit of defensive driving from Mark Willis. Look at the pit crew there, urging him on. And look at, there is the gearhouse back machine in third place, the white machine of Stevie Hodgson. Chris Dawkins having a good run too, I can tell you. He's up into 4th place. So the race order now as these two are at it, hammer and tongs. 65 Willis leads from Jordan, 77 in second place. Then Stevie Hodgson about 10 car lengths back. It's not a huge deal, really, but it is in Eurocar terms. And Jordan's gone for it this time. The time outside through panic, and Jordan leads on. Oh, he nearly broke it up. Oh, spectacular stuff. At the end of this, Mike Jordan's going to know he's been in a motor race. And this, the 7th race of the season, and Mike Jordan has really felt the pressure because, well, he was all dominant in V8 last year. Stevie Hodgson and Mark Willis, the two who's moved up from V6s, first and second in the championship. Well, he's in that sandwich at the moment. The bread made up between Mark Willis and Steve Hodgson, the two V6 boys who moved up. And what a contribution they've made to this series. Into Hatchet Hairpin. There is Jordan second, Hodgson third. Hodgson, I think, is being caught ever so slightly by the big black machine. Talk about black and white minstrels. We've got black and white V8. White goes third. Stevie Hodgson's got an ever-growing Chris Dawkins behind him. That Dawkins machine is getting closer. The 22 car. There they go. That's third. That's fourth. And Chris Dawkins hanging the back end now. He really does like to drive big, powerful, brutish machinery, and that's certainly what he's got in his hands at the moment in the shape of this Eurocar V8. Well, Chris Dawkins trying desperately to get the power on. Likewise, Mark Willis there, the leader. And of course, many of you will follow it. Look at the rain teeming down now. It's all over our commentary position here. Tony Gale keeps out of the way of the leader, so very aware of what's going on around him. Good old Gailey, keeping an eye on what's going on. And here they come to complete another lap. Many of you, I was about to say, I'm sure, follow what goes on across the pond in America, and you'll be aware that these cars are very, very reminiscent of the ARCA cars, which is the third division, if you like, of NASCAR. NASCAR Winston Cup Series being the Premier Division, and then the Busch Series, and then it's the ARCA cars, and these cars running very, very similar stock machinery to the ARCA machines. And in fact, a lot of the boys have been going out, Stevie Hodgson in particular and Mike Jordan, both been tripping across to the United States to pick up parts. They're running very similar gearboxes to the NASCAR machines, Jericho gearboxes being run by a number of the teams. But of course the question is who will get there and who will use their gearbox to get them there, because we're into the final lap now, and here is Mike Jordan. Is this the chance for him to mount the final challenge? Will Chris Dawkins have a dive up the inside of Stevie Hodgson? Well, we'll see in a moment. Lone fifth placeman there, Barry Lee, running through in the number one machine, and well, his place looks secure, but is Jordan going to go up the inside? The checkered flag is in hand. Here comes Willis off the final corner, and it looks as though Mark Willis will score his second victory of the year. He does indeed. Jordan comes through in second, a quite superb drive from the back of the field, starting from the pit lane, and Mike Jordan looks across and acknowledges the victory from Mark Willis, but Stevie Hodgson on slick tyres, when everybody else was on either wets or a mixture of wets and slicks, takes third place just ahead of Chris Dawkins. Barry Lee comes home in third. Let's just have a look back to see who's going to come through back in 8th place. Well, there he is. Paul Eaton comes through in break for race 2 of the mighty V8 Eurocar Championship. It's round 4 indeed, and the weather, I'm happy to say, has abated. The rain has been blown away from South Wales, well, for the moment anyway, and there is the man who won the first race here, Mark Willis, absolutely thriving in this conditions, or in these conditions at Pembrey, and at the moment they're on their warm-up lap. Well, let me tell you that the grid is reversed from the positions in which the drivers finished in the first race, so that means that the man who finished towards the back of the field, in this case Ian Mitchell there on the inside pole position in the red 8 car, and Davy Philp on the outside in number 89. Behind them on the second row, well, on the inside, Team Brask's Alf Bora, and the outside of him, Arco's Paul Eaton. The third row with the lights off on the pace car, so we look set for a go this time. The third row, Graham Miller on the inside, Phil White on the outside. Those are the first 3 rows. Stevie Hodgson and Mike Jordan are right at the very back, and that's where the championship is being fought at the moment, even in this early stages of the season. And here we are. The lights are red and the pace car pulls in, and it's the cavalry charge lighting up the tyres down towards Hatchett's hairpin. Ian Mitchell on the inside, Davy Philp to the outside of him. Oh, put on the old anchors, boys. They do frighten the life out of me as they tear down into this first corner, but everybody looks like they'll get through safely. There we are, there is Hodgson on the inside. Who's going to get through? They come through Spitfires into Deveni, and well, Davy Philp's got the inside line now. That just might help him. There's Barry Lee trying to get to the inside of Graham Miller in 71 and 1 respectively, and through they come. What a glorious Technicolor sight they make as they hammer towards us into the S's. We're on board. That's the look you get from Paul Eaton's car. He's passed on the inside. Well, I think in fact Ian Mitchell was on the inside of him, but this time, oh, it's all getting a bit frantic out there. Hold on there, we're going for a bumpy ride. Well held, Paul Eaton. Well, he just held on to it there, didn't he? The rest of the field streaming their way through. Hot action here, even though it's a little bit overcast at Pembrey, and here they come to complete their opening lap. And look at this lot, 3 abreast at the back, including Mike Jordan. Oh, and there's Chris Dawkins to the inside of Alfora, and he's got a huge one on. Well held on behind, there's all sorts of commotion. Barry Lee spins, Mark Willis, our race 1 winner, spins, and they're going to rejoin at the back of the field. Well, my word, what an opening lap. All sorts of commotion. Barry Lee, well, I thought he was going to go into the pit lane, but he's not. He's deposited half the track. Although, oh, Kevin Clark's arriving at the hairpin too quickly. I mentioned at race 1 that Kevin Clark's problem might not be engine. It wasn't engine, it was indeed a throttle cable. And here we are, Mark Willis is in the pit lane. And look at that activity. Well, I think he's hammered his wheel, and Phil White's now at it. Oh dear, when will these boys learn? Great entertainment though, this is what it's all about. Sideways motoring, a big engine, lots of power, a very hard compound Avon tyre, and that'll get you twitching around at the rear end, I'll tell you that for nothing. Here we go then. Now Graham Miller's pouring smoke off his corner. Oh, and there's contact there. That's Stevie Hodgson we're on board with, just having a little nudge up the inside of Chris Dawkins' car. Dawkins ahead of us there in the 22. Look at that. Oh my word, what's going on? Alf Bora's in the pit lane. Dear me, that was very close indeed. Sent the folks in the pit lane scattering about. But Bora, well, he's still in the car and he looks all right. We can see movement in there, but there's all sorts of movement out on the track as well. And look at Mike Jordan. He's already piled his way through to be 4th at the moment, but up ahead of him they're fighting out for positions. Graham Miller there, look at that bodywork rubbing on that rear tyre, and that tyre is going to be well, under severe stress. It's a very substantial tyre, but it's going to be stressed nevertheless. And Stevie Hodgson takes advantage and goes for the inside of Graham Miller. There's Alfora rejoining from the pit lane, so good news that he's okay. Here's the second and third and fourth place man going through. Phil White there in fifth, then Stevie Hodgson. There's Chris Dawkins, Graham Miller and Tony Gale going through. And, well, Graham Miller, won't surprise me if he dives into the pit lane to get that bodywork pulled away from that tyre, because that tyre is, as I say, under severe pressure. We're on board here with Hodgson. He gets a little bit leery as well out of the final corner. Oh, and nearly launched himself into the side of Phil White, but he passes Phil White at the inside and goes through. Graham Miller has indeed gone into the pit lane, so they'll attend to that bodywork rubbing on the side of the Caversham 71 car. The Silver Machine, with the silver-haired man at the wheel of it, and Ian Mitchell rather having a bit of a time of it there, and Ian Mitchell looks as though he's going to hand a second place to Mike Jordan. Jordan already third. Mark Willis after that front. Well, I'll tell you what, that car doesn't look as though the suspension or the tracking is set very well indeed at all as he came out in the pit lane, though. We'll just have to keep an eye on Mark Willis and see whether he can sort that machine out. Here's Mike Jordan. Well, let's just take a breath here for the moment if we possibly can. I remind you that Davy Philp leads this race at the moment as Mike Jordan goes for second place over Ian Mitchell, and following through is Hodgson. Hodgson in the white 7 car is also trying to get through, battling out, and he's through past Paul Eden. Oh dear, Mark Willis, after a fantastic race victory in the first outing, has retired off into the grass. He's scuppered off into the grass like a snake, trying to find a little hiding place. And, well, bad news for him and the team. Here's Ian Mitchell to the inside of Stevie Hodgson. Hodgson tries to get through. Mitchell fights back on the inside. There he is, trailing bodywork as he does, but, well, has Hodgson got a problem now? Let's just look at the race order. Davy Philp leads. Mike Jordan gap then back to third place with Ian Mitchell side by. Oh, hang on, Tony Gale. Well, he was the entertainer of the year in 1995 in V6s, and he's putting on a real show for the fans at the S's at the moment. That car is handling like a bag of sprouts. It's not good at all. It's all a bit leery and hairy, but Tony Gale will try and sort it out as Jordan tries to go for the lead at the end of lap 5. Here he comes. The completion of lap 5. Jordan is through. Oh, and Mitchell's lost it. Mitchell spins it left and right and back again. Oh, my word. Chris Dawkins, Buzz Dawkins, had nowhere to go. Well, you're not even going to get time to put the kettle on in this one. Furious stuff from the V8 Eurocars at Pembrey. Great action, great entertainment, that's what it's all about. But Chris Dawkins kicks the door off and runs away to a position of safety. A spring in his step. But I'm sure he'll have a word about all that. He really was left with nowhere to go as far as that V8 incident was concerned. Ian Mitchell got it all out of sorts coming out of Honda Curve. He spun left and right and he tried to gather it all up. Paul Eaton managed somehow to get through and retain his position. There is Paul Eaton in the 44, that's Phil White in 63, and behind him in 12 is Tony Gale, who, as a result of all that, has moved himself up quite nicely. He's running in 6th place at the moment. 7th there is Barry Lee in the 1 car. But here comes Mike Jordan down towards us at Hatchet Hairpin. He's well, he's just a class at the moment, ahead of everybody else. That car's so well sorted, but this man Hodgson is the heir apparent to the V8 crown. Hodgson said his stall out that he wants that V8 crown this year, and he's got Davy Philp just ahead of him at the moment. Lap 7. Jordan, Philp and then Hodgson. Davy Philp, incidentally, been around the scene for many, many years, based up in Scotland. He is the travellingest, if there is such a word, V8 driver. Covers the countryside from his base just up north of Edinburgh. Oh, and Ian Mitchell, well, he was having a good old fight, but he'll be in the pit lane this time, going to retire, I think. There is Tony Gale, and that will move Gailey up a place because Ian Mitchell was running ahead of him. And what's going on to our right? The answer is they're all coming to, well, it's Mitchell, in fact, pulling into the pit lane. Here towards us comes Graham Miller, followed by Alfora. And this is the battle for second place out of Honda Curve. Mike Jordan is the car ahead, the red and yellow Mac Tools machine towards us at Hatchets, but here is Hodgson. Look at how close it is as well for 4th place between Eaton White and Barry Lee tucked in fact it's Tony Gale tucked in amongst that battle, and that's a good line through by Stevie Hodgson. Started racing when he was 12 years of age in mini stocks and has pulled himself through up the ranks. Did an awful lot of oval racing. There is Tony Gale, who's also moved up ahead of Phil White, so well done Gailey. He's picked up a place, the Reading Maestro in the 12 car. And Stevie Hodgson's having a bit of a job getting through on Davy Phil, but he might just get there this time. Good line through the S's. Phil White's back on the outside, but Hodgson is through. And Stevie Hodgson will be very pleased about that because Mike Jordan is just inching away from him up front. There is Jordan eking out his lead, but I'll tell you what, Hodgson's on the charge. Now he's got past Davy Phil. He's already opened up a fair old gap between himself there, and that's the second place man. There in fourth place is Paul Eaton. Paul Eaton's having a great run there in 44. Mike Jordan goes through. The second and third place men come towards us. And remember, Stevie Hodgson had a third place in the first race. He desperately wants to get hold of Mike Jordan. And if you join us after this break, you'll see whether he does it or not. We're at Pembrey, it's V8 Racing, and I can tell you that Stevie Hodgson is closing the gap on the leader, Mike Jordan. Hodgson is in the white car in 7th. That's Paul Eaton in 4th place. Ahead of him is Davy Phil, behind him is Tony Gale, and there is the second place battle. Jordan is there in 77. That's the double V8 champion, the champion in 96 and 97. Wants desperately to make it a three-peat, but look how Stevie Hodgson is closing the gap in these final stages. Also getting closer and closer to the third place man is that man there, Paul Eaton in 44. A puff of smoke from Jordan as he just locks a tyre on the down change. Through they go, and amongst the back markers is Mike Jordan. There he is, there's Hodgson in 7 behind, and he is much, much closer this time. But Jordan looks very smooth, very calm, very collected. But is Hodgson, the youngster from Yorkshire, going to put the pressure on him? Well, we'll find out over these remaining few laps. The other factor, of course, is whether or not Alf Bora, one of the back markers, is going to play a part in this. There's Davy Phil 3rd, Paul Eaton 4th. Swings through, leader Mike Jordan. Well, Jordan's not really had any great opposition towards the closing rounds of last season, but this season he's absolutely been bowled over by the developmental work that Stevie Hodgson and the Hodgson Motorsport outfit particularly have done during the winter months. They've done an awful lot of testing. Mike has not done as much as he would have liked, and look at that, I tell you, he's getting closer and closer. He's leaving his braking momentarily later every time they come through, and in fact sounding to me absolutely flat there through the slight right hand kink. Across the line they go. There is Hodgson, turns in. Look at that big wheel he's got there in his hand. Just takes a little bit of curve on the exit, not too much, not too little. And Jordan will be looking in his mirrors thinking, what on earth have I got to do to try and keep that youngster behind me? Well, the answer is try and find an extra 10th somewhere. Through the paddock turn they go. Got an idea now, the advantage, and look at it, Stevie Hodgson right on it there, drifting right out wide to our left, his right. And I don't know if you can see on the top of Hodgson's car there, there's what looks like an aerial with a little red ball on it. See it there on the top, just above the rear windscreen? Well, he took that off his championship winning V6 car. It's a lucky charm that he's put on the V8 car because he wants desperately to win this V8 champion and be the first ever to win back-to-back championships. Look at him there, really putting the pressure on. And Davy Philp is dropping back. Well, to be fair to him, Davy Philp is being caught at the moment by Paul Eaton, and I just wonder whether that's going to cause a lot of pressure for Philp. There goes the second place man. Davy Philp in 89 is the next man through. And with Paul Eaton still there holding 4th place. Incidentally, Tony Gale and Phil White are in 5th and 6th respectively. Then Barry Lee 7th, Graham Miller in 8th place. Those 8 cars all running on the lead lap. And still running out there, Alf Bora and Kevin Clark. Kevin Clark, though, just a couple of laps back. There is 3rd place, Davy Philp. This, I've got to say, one of the greatest runs that we've had from Davy. It's only his 8th race in a Eurocar V8, and something flicking back just to try and catch sight of the leader, and there he is, spitting flame. Mike Jordan through, and he's right now with one of the back markers. This could be the opportunity. Here we are on board with Paul Eaton down the main straight, just moves his hand down to change gear. Mike Jordan moves through on the inside of the newly liveried brass machine, and a little wave there from Mike Jordan acknowledging that Alf Bora moved to the left and kept out of his way, and really didn't cause him a problem. I wonder whether Mike might have thought that Alf may not have been aware how close he was getting. Incidentally, the Alf Bora car then is due later this year to receive development work from Stevie Hodgson. It's a deal that's been done here this very weekend. That's the car we're talking about, the 2 car of Alf Bora. Will get developmental gearbox and setup work. They'll share technical information with the Hodgson Motorsport outfit, and that's hoped to sort out some of the problems that car has had. It was driven earlier in the season by Neil Cunningham, and Neil Cunningham really grabbed it by the scruff of the neck. Alf Bora's got it now and will campaign it for the rest of the year, and he moves out the way of his technical support man as we get into our final couple of laps. Jordan, if he looked in his mirror, would see that Stevie Hodgson is closer now than he's ever been before. But whether Hodgson can do something about it, well, these final couple of laps, 3 laps, will tell us. Davy Philp here fighting it out in 3rd place for Paul Eaton. Oh, Philp's left it very late on the brakes and he spins it round. Oh, Davy. Oh, he was so late on the brakes. Spins it round to rejoin, but that's cost him, well, because they were all running so close together in 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th places. Davy Philp rejoining, well, in fact, he'll get through in 6th place, just ahead of Barry Lee. Barry, who prepares that car of Davy Philp. Oh, dearie me. Davy Philp, here he was, set for his best ever finish in a V8 race. And, well, chucked it away at Hatchett's hairpin. Mike Jordan, though, just been quite superb. Got through into the lead on the 5th lap, having started from the back of the grid, and starts his final lap. Now Stevie Hodgson, I said, has been garnering his resources and is closer and closer. Now without Davy Philp there shadowing him, Hodgson might just have a chance now to a real lunge without worrying. Oh no, Hodgson's thrown it away! I can't believe it. Stevie Hodgson at Hatchett's hairpin has chucked it in the... oh, he's really in the doo-doo there, and here comes the 3rd place man now, Paul Eaton, charging him down. Well, Hodgson did remarkably well there to recover and to get himself back out, but that means that victory, unless there's some major technical drama for Mike Jordan, victory will surely go to him. There is Jordan. Well, he might be aware if he was looking in his mirrors that Hodgson, well, quite stunning stuff. Drama upon drama. Hodgson comes into Hatchett's on the final lap and gets his braking all wrong, spins it round, and I thought he's chucked it away into the tyre wall. He just managed to stop short of that. But Mike Jordan has been quite supreme. The checkered flag is held aloft for Mike Jordan, takes the victory here at Pembrey. A 1st place to add to his 2nd, and will Hodgson get there? Well, Mike Jordan gives us a wave as he slows down. Well done, Mike, indeed. Cracking victory. Here's a great scrap going on. This the battle for 5th and 6th place between Phil White and Davy Philp.